What's up everybody? In this video I want to talk about how to name your blog, website, YouTube channel, the whole shebang. Let's get to it. What's up everybody? It's David, websitecreativepro.com. So let's talk about various ways to name your blog, name your website, and come up with names for your YouTube channel. Some tips, some mistakes that people make, some pros and cons of each option that you can implement. So let's get to it right now. Now, first off, before we get into like how to name your blog, how to name your website, how to name your YouTube channel, just remember that content is king with your website. It's what you do with your website, YouTube channel, all that stuff is 10 times more important than the name that you come up with for your blog, okay? For example, like 10beasts.com, that's one of my most popular case studies. Like it's literally 10, the number 10, and then beasts, like monsters. And it's like, then it's a technology website. It's like, what? Like that, what does that have to do with technology? But then you look at things like Google, Yahoo, Flickr, those sort of things. Like they're defined by the content, the service that they produce more so than their name, and now their name is associated with something, and that's kind of like what you can. That's just what I want you to take away with. Okay, so focus more on content. Content is what defines you. Next is that like you're gonna want to go to like namecheap.com and come up with a domain name, and you're gonna find out that everything is taken. Like almost any two-word combination that you can come up with is gonna be taken. You're gonna kind of have to accept that, and it's a very, very frustrating thing. And that's sort of like why .co became a little bit more popular, because it's an alternative that was started by GoDaddy as a way for people to get the domain name they actually want. But I still recommend, if you can get a .com, get the .com. But if you have to go to .net, .org, .co, it's fine. Like I have a very profitable website that's a .co that's making about $1,000 a month now. It's like, you know, you're fine with a .co. I mean, people jumped on my throat on my other previous video where I talked about .net, .org, .com, which one's best. Yeah, .com's best, obviously. That's the legacy domain name. That's the extension that I want you to get. You really should strive to get it. So try and come up with a domain name that uses a .com. But if you can't, if you have to go with a .co, like if you're dead set, like this is the domain name I want, and nobody else is using it, like for example, like you go to namecheap.com, you check your domain name that you want and it's taken, but then you go to then you copy and paste the domain name into the web browser to check to see if it's a website and it's not taken, it's just a squatter. Great, and you can get .co, then fine. If you're dead set on it, go for it. Okay, don't worry about it. Again, we're back to point one. It's your content and what you do that defines you more so than the domain name that you come up with. Okay. All right, so let me just go through my little notes right here. So the first domain name that you can come up with is your name. So your name has a couple different pros and cons. So right off the bat, the main advantage of your domain, of using your name as your domain, is that you have the flexibility to pivot content as you want. For example, like stevescottsite.com was started off as a personal development website, and then he positioned and pivoted away from personal development, like talking about like, oh, how to be authentically you and live your heart-centered life. And then he started talking about internet marketing because he's making thousands of dollars online and people want to know. Then he started talking about that, and then he pivoted away from that because he did a case study where he was talking about Kindle publishing, and then his site that was leveraging Kindle publishing took off, and then he started just talking about only Kindle publishing. So having your name as your domain name gives you that flexibility to pivot into different directions as you see fit. Now, the con of it is that you're not building a brand, you're building a brand around you per se. And so you got to really think about, like, is that really what you want, or would you rather build a brand? Like if I'm building a website on like tea, for example, and various types of teas around the world and different ways to brew tea and products related to brewing tea, do I really want my tea website to be my name? Like I guess you could, and then you could position yourself as like, oh, I'm David and I'm a tea expert or something like that. But is that really what you want to do? Like you got to take that into consideration. Do you want to position yourself as an expert, or do you just want to build a brand? And I recommend typically going more for the brand route. I've had more success doing that. And so that's the advantage of like, in pros and cons of using your name. You're building a personal brand, but at a minimum, if you just like want to have a personal website, then yeah, you absolutely should just register your domain name. You should own your name. As a good rule of thumb, like I own my name, you should own your name at a minimum. So you can just do that at Namecheap and just register your name, and you can just create like a nice little about me website. I sort of do that with my blog now, edgeofdavid.com, which is a perfect example of like how I pivoted. Like I started talking about personal development as a 20-year-old, goofy 20-year-old, which I pivoted away, and then I started talking about travel, and now it's like, well, I don't really blog. I keep it more about just an about me website. So that's your name. Next is keyword focused domain names. So a keyword focused domain name is like bestteakettles.com or something like that, like some kind of spammy domain. You got to be careful with those. Now, they can work if you're providing, like, for example, like a specific service, for example, like createaclickablemap.com. Like, that's a great domain name. And then you go to it and it's like, oh, in this website, you can create a clickable map for your website or blog that you can embed on your website. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, that domain name makes sense. But something like best tea kettle review site.com or bestespressomakers.com or bestespressomakers.co or something that's like spammy. People see that, they're not going to trust it. They're going to be like, this website is just a BS website that's going to just try to be making money off me, and it's not going to provide any value. Again, like, go back to the first part where I said, like, your content defines you. Okay, so that's why you don't want to like your content's important, but like if you have a spammy sounding domain name, people are just not gonna also trust your website. I remember Chris Guthrie, who now blogs under Upfuel. He was so proud when we were blogging about like how he got the domain name makemoneyontheinternet.com, and he paid like $10,000 for it. And then Google turned around and then they penalized websites that were over optimizing for like long tail keywords like that, because they used to give a benefit to it. And then it became like, well, people started abusing it too much, where they would register these domain names and then people would type in like these searches, like how to tell if a guy likes you.com. You know, that's searched for like 90,000 times a month. So people would, oh, I'll get that domain name, I'll rank on the first page, get a ton of traffic, create a low quality website. So Google all of a sudden just changed their algorithm and penalized the sites that do that. Now, that's why I said, like, it depends on like what your site is about. Like if it's an information content oriented website, don't do that. Like, don't get a spammy domain name. Now, if it's a service and you're providing something specific, like createaclickablemap.com, then cool. Yeah, go for like a domain name like that, but not for a blog or website where you want to like monetize with information products, affiliate marketing, advertising, that sort of thing, just because people don't trust it. And, you know, people kind of are aware of that. And then the last one is probably the best way you should go is a brand. So a brand is like edgeofdavid.com, websitecreativepro.com, something like that. So you want to figure out like your keywords, and like you want to figure out like have your like one keyword, like what is the one keyword that you absolutely 100% need in that domain. Now again, we have like 10beast.com as an example. So it's like you don't have to do this. You can create a brand and call it whatever you want. It's okay. It's really, really okay. But I personally like having like the keyword, like what the website's about, a little bit in the domain name if possible. So just think about like different keywords, related keywords, go to a thesaurus, come up with a compilation of like various keywords and phrases that you can incorporate into your domain name. Like even if it's something like you could go a little bit more personal with your own name, like Edge of David, for example, is my actual blog, instead of just going by my name, because it's a little bit more catchy, it's a little bit different, it's a little more interesting than just my name. Because like who am I? Yeah, we have Tony Robbins and like whatever and Marie Forleo, but like who's David Yuki? Who cares? Like literally nobody cares. So that's why you gotta be careful. Like I like to have your name as your domain name for more of a personal website if possible, but like go for the brand. And your brand name should be 1 to 3 words in length, ideally, okay? I know that's hard to do, because I'm going to tell you, like when you go to Namecheap and you're trying to find your domain name, you're going to be like, what? Why would anyone register that? You know, and it's I'm telling you, it's so annoying. But just stick to it and trying to come up with 1 to a 3 word domain name. So you can always change a word or two, like you pick one word and then change the end, like for example Flickr, you know, instead they changed it and added an R. Like you can do that. Like you can change, like take a word and then change like a letter on the end and make it something else, and then maybe it's not specifically related, but like you just go that route. So those are your 3 options. So the pro of having a brand, obviously, is that like a brand can become known for something and you can sell a brand, and it's not tied to you personally, which is what I personally like. If you ever want to sell your website, you can go that route. Now, in terms of your YouTube channel, what should you name your YouTube channel? It's like you really should just follow the same process as well. You can either go by your name or you can go by a brand name, and it just depends on like what you're doing. So like if your blog is a specific name, like websitecreativepro.com, your YouTube channel could be the same name, for example, or you could go by your name. Typically, for like a YouTube channel, if it's a multi-person endeavor that you're doing, then you want to go by the brand. Absolutely. You don't want to go by the individual name. because it doesn't make sense. You have a brand, you have a team, so go by the brand. For example, like Alex Stevenson changed his YouTube channel to Ninja Teacher because his company is called Ninja Teacher, and it's based in Vietnam, and it's multiple people. And in the videos, there's multiple people in each video now instead of just him. So it makes more sense to go with a brand than just his name, for example. But also, like, another thing that nobody ever talks about is that you can test this. Like, I've done this on websitecreativepro.com. I've changed this channel name to my name, and I've had it under Website Creative Pro, and I've just tested like for a month to see like which one performs better in terms of like subscribers and views. And when it's called Website Creative Pro, I get more subscribers and I get more views than when I go under my name. So it's like, okay, well, I don't care what other YouTubers say, how to come up with a domain name. Like, you can test it and like do both and compare and then see which one performs better. I don't know precisely why that is, but like, going with your name is okay if you're an expert and you want to position yourself as an expert as well. That's an okay route too. But if you like have a brand, then just maybe go under the brand, and definitely go with the brand if it's a multi-person endeavor that you're doing. So that's basically my tips for coming up with a domain name for your blog or website, and also how to just name your YouTube channel. So again, just recap. So content is like key, okay? Your videos and your blog content, that is what is most important. That defines you more so than your domain name, okay? So don't get too hung up on your domain name. As long as your domain name is not something horrible, it's not as important as you may think it is. Like, I know you think like, I have to come up with this awesome name that has like this awesome alliteration, like charisma on command, that has alliteration. It's really catchy, and like, yeah, that's great if you can come up with something like that and it strikes you and it's like, yes, that's perfect. That's a perfect domain. Or like bold and determined. Yeah, that's a perfect name for like a men's website. If you can come up with that, great, go for it. But again, content is what defines you. And then you're gonna find out that most .coms are taken, particularly like if it's a 2 or 3 word. So just be a little bit flexible, try and come up with different things, and be open to registering a .co, .net, .org if you have to. Go with .com if you can get it, but if you can't, I understand. It's not the end of the world, okay? There's plenty of websites that are successful that are .net, .org, .co. All right, and then last is, you have your name, keyword, and brand. So your name, pros and cons. Pros, like you have that flexibility and you can build a personal brand around you. Cons are that like, you're gonna create something where it's not really a sellable asset. And you gotta really think like, do you want to be known for something specific, or is it better? Would you rather be operating under a brand? And then a keyword, specific domain name is great if you have a specific service. Like create a clickable map is a great idea, but don't go that route if you want to create a blog. Like when I see like bestteakettle.reviews.com, like, that is just such a spammy sounding website. Like I would not click if I saw that in the SERPs. I wouldn't click on it and I wouldn't trust anything. So like that's where your domain name can really handicap you and hurt you. So you want to get it right. Don't go that route. Do something a little bit different, like how to create tea or something. Not how to create tea. That's stupid too. But just something that's like a little bit more brandable. Like for example, like I always go back to roasty coffee. For example, like you roast coffee. Like so, like what do you do with tea? Like brew time tea or like something like that. Like brew, like whatever, like go with that route. Think, okay, we have brew and we have tea. What else can we come up with? Like what's related to brew? What else do you do with tea? What are products are associated with tea? Where's a popular country that tea comes from or whatever? And then to come up with those random words and then put it together and create some sort of quick little brand. And then the last is going with a brand. Like I said, brand should be like 2, 3 words, or maybe 1 word if you can. Consider changing the last letter. Think about like various, like go with alliteration, keywords, maybe slang if it's related to your website. Just be careful with slang. Your website should be fun and lighthearted, but like if you're talking about something like penny stocks or something serious, like some sort of medical thing, like you're talking about eye infections or I don't know, like some random topic like that, then you want to go something a little bit more professional than like going with slang. So anyways, guys, that is it for this video. Those are my tips on how to name your blog, website, YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed it. If you like this video, subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.